Welcome into the Sports Buffoons podcast. What's going on out there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? We got the full clan here, back at you here on a June 2nd edition for you guys. We're on episode, I think, 65, right, Tanner?
I believe it is 65.
65. Tanner Dawson, Jason JG is with us here. So how's it going, guys?
Rolling, man. How about you?
Yeah, we're ready to roll. I think it's gonna be a great fucking show today. What are you guys up to?
We're gonna row to. we're gonna row. So Jason, what are you sipping on over there? We're gonna row our boat through an imperial stout, or what do you got going
Whatever
on?
it is, it must have been too much. But right now, I'm going with the Prairie Bomb.
You never have too much of that, right? It's only 13% alcohol. That's no big deal.
It's kind of a sissy drink when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean that's nothing
Yeah.
for you, Jason.
It's like a wine. It's like one glass of wine. That's nothing.
One
for
glass
you.
of wine.
Yeah, that's easy.
Really good wine.
Yeah, very good wine. Tanner, what are you drinking? Something a
Just
little lighter?
stealing some more from your fridge. Some good old Goose Island Shandy.
Did you say your fidge?
Your fridge? Fridge?
All right, so
Oh,
at this
man.
point in the show, neither one of us can talk, so that's a good start.
Guys,
right?
you're for
That's
a
good
great
fucking
show
start.
today.
The words are not working.
And I didn't
for-
even go out with these guys beforehand. That's the
No.
issue.
No, this is okay. Let's hope that I can keep myself under control because at least one of us here has to maintain our cool here.
Could be
On a
rough.
nice, is it summertime yet? We're getting close.
No, June 21st is summertime.
Damn, that is weird. It seems like June should just be summer.
It should be, right?
You know,
May 21st.
Like I'm sure your
but,
pool or whoever's pools are open. If you lived in an apartment complex and
Memorial Day happens.
Memorial
Everybody's
Day.
pool opened.
all that, I got Rolls of Fun tickets. Me and the
There you
girls
go.
go out there now, so we used to do that in our free time. So that
Yeah.
seems like summer to me.
It's close enough, I think.
Yeah, I think
So,
so.
what do you got over there, Mike? It looks
I got a couple
ravishing.
things actually. I'm just sipping. If you guys are watching us on YouTube here, give us a follow and a like and subscribe. At Sports Buffoons is our handle. I got myself a little whiskey and Diet Coke, but I'm also saving something for later on in the show. A little Dragon's Milk Reserve. So I'm
Dragon's
also
Milk Reserve.
joining Jason with the Imperial Stouts of the evening. So those of you guys who've been following along with us, you guys know that we like to mix it up on the show, and we don't typically have the same drink every week. So
Except for me, whatever's in Mike's fridge.
yeah, just go ahead and raid my fridge full of all the beer in there and go at it, Tanner. You know that.
Yep.
That's why you're our IT guy. That's why you hook us up with all the
I do the tech, you
awesome
provide the
video
drinks.
tech and all that good stuff. So it all works out for us all. Now, guys, we got a lot to get to as far as the Chiefs go here. We're gonna talk a little bit Chiefs. Let's talk about Royals, and then I know you guys are extremely excited to talk about the NBA here later on in the show. We got the playoffs in full swing now with the NBA, and the team that I picked last week that was going to be prevailing is looking good right now. But we'll save that for later.
Weird.
I don't want to get you guys too riled up yet. You know what I mean? You guys were naysayers on my Suns, but here we are. So
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see what happens. But first and foremost, you guys, as you guys know, we are out of Overland Park, Kansas, and so really we are a Chiefs-focused show, and we will be that way, all throughout the rest of the offseason here, as well as we'll be making our way to training camp coming up in the summer. We haven't picked an official date yet because the date schedule has not been released. So
Correct.
when that's released, we will make a date. We'll make an announcement to you guys out there on YouTube and out there on Spotify that follow along with us. And if you guys want to run into us, grab a drink somewhere, something like that, that'd be super cool.
Follow our Twitter as well, guys. You
Yep.
can always see the updates there.
Yep, of course. So we'll be involved with that. But for now, I was kind of thinking about this with the draft being over with and all that kind of stuff. Most of free agency is over with. June is the 1 month of the NFL world where not much happens. I mean, we just got through mini camps and we saw how that
Yeah.
turned out, and it was good to see all the players back with on the field. It's looking like we're gonna have a real season again. Like we're gonna have a regular season. Training camps were in full swing. Fans are allowed. Mini camps were normal. Like I think as far as football is concerned, the COVID era was 1 year and it's over with.
Correct.
And that's what it's looking to be like. But I was also thinking about the fact that the Chiefs historically have always kept at least one or two undrafted free agents every season on this team. And I know last year Tommy Townsend was one of them. We had also had the linebacker Durant was one of them as well that was kept along.
Yeah, Sir Durant.
Yes, he was one that was kept along as well. And just traditionally, it seems like one or two guys every year do end up making the team that were undrafted free agents. And I was curious to see if you guys had someone that stands out to you, because I do have one that stands out to me. The more I've looked along the list of guys we've signed, I am a big fan of Riley Cole, the linebacker from South Alabama. He is standing at 6'2", 242 pounds. And at the Jaguars there, he had 96 tackles, 6.5 for loss, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. And I watched a little interview with him, and maybe it's because he was wearing like a Vans Warped Tour hat and a Metallica T-shirt, but got me. I liked his personality basically. But the Chiefs worked him out at fullback. So
Interesting.
if you can be a two-way player on this team, and an Andy Reid coached squad, of course he loves guys that can be versatile.
Mm-hmm.
And working out at fullback, obviously Anthony Sherman has now retired from the team. We are trying to filter through who's going to be the starting fullback potentially, or really obviously it's not a role that's used on the team often, but for special teams. And if you can be a fullback on this team as well as a linebacker, you're going to be used on kickoff and punt return situations as well. So I think Riley Cole is a guy that, from the way things I've seen of him, he played offense in high school as well. So he played tight end, as a matter of fact. But I think
Okay.
he's a guy that could really stand out, ended up making a path on this team as a special teamer to begin with, and then potentially be used in certain situations as a fullback and, maybe even a, fourth, fifth string linebacker. So that is my guy to watch out for as preseason rolls around.
Yeah, there'd be plenty of depth on for that.
Yeah,
So,
Jason, who's your guy?
yeah.
Yeah, well, I like your pick, Mike, and so you guys know what I think about two-way players. So I kind of got a hard on when he was talking about two-way players over there, but that's neither here nor there. I'm gonna go with a guy by the name of Marlon Character Jr., cornerback out of Louisville. Is 6'1", 195 pounds. The guy has playmaking ability. So he started 6 out of 11 games in 2020. He made 37 tackles, including 3 tackles for loss, 1 interception, and 6 pass deflections. And so that's going to be my guy as far as the undrafted free agents.
Yeah, I don't mind that pick because there's plenty of depth in corner as well. So I picked a cornerback as well. Thomas Leggett. He's from Texas Tech here. He recently signed 2020 here. He had 4 tackles for a loss, 3 passes defended. But this guy, what it proves to me is he can get to the backfield. He's really good trying to make the play, and he's not afraid to tackle. And we have plenty of depth in the cornerback position with Breland gone, possibly gone still. Hamilton is gone. Do you really trust Bo Pete Keys to come step in?
No, not yet. Obviously, I mean, I think that's definitely still a project. Bo Pete
Correct.
Keys is not who I want to see on the field. But yeah, keep in mind some of the projects, obviously, that the Chiefs are working with. And there was a former first-round pick last year, by the way, Tanner, who, like you
Oh,
mentioned,
DeAndre Baker
DeAndre
still
Baker
there.
as well is still a part of this team. So
I haven't heard
he can
from
get
his
back on the field.
recovery, but we'll have to look that up.
Yeah, but you could be surprised. You never know.
Yeah.
He could be back healthy and be playing at an elite level.
But we kind of know as a fan base though throughout the season, you got to look for depth in certain positions. And cornerback, secondary in general is a position that we've always struggled with in depth. And so finding these key undrafted free agents, such as from Louisville or Texas Tech, is going to be huge because they are run in a pass conference. So these guys have the experience. These guys obviously I've practiced plenty of it, so I'd be excited to see any of these 2 players in the cornerback position to provide some depth for these, even a practice squad sign up as well late in the season.
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, there's throughout the training camp situation, teams are going to be moving players in and out of their roster, and Brett Veach has shown in the past the ability to at least go out and pick up some names. And John Dorsey did a great job of that as well, by the way. So
Yes.
both of the previous GM John Dorsey and the current GM of the Chiefs, Brett Veach, have done a good job of that throughout the process of training camp. They're always evaluating at all times. That's what you want. We had Carl Peterson here as Chiefs fans, and that guy was a great businessman. He also made the draft picks of guys like Derek Thomas, Will Shields, Tony Gonzalez. All of those guys went on to become All-Pro, Hall of Famers, and had stellar careers with the team. But at the end of the day, when it came down to it, I think that Carl Peterson lacked some of the true football analyst skills and scouting skills, like guys who I believe Dorsey and Brett Veach do have in their qualities. Or they're football guys, they're businessmen, but they're also football guys. And I don't know if, Carl Peterson could have ever maneuvered the cap the way that Brett Veach has to make sure things fit into place on this current roster. But
I feel like there would be probably less effort put into place to do that.
Yeah.
Because we see how Brett Veach takes these numbers that we get at the end of the season, and somehow we're still signing guys. Possibly a Todd Gurley.
And we're even still
possibly
talking about
Julio Jones.
Julio Jones even, yeah, exactly. Todd Gurley, Julio Jones.
But and it's
still
all
on the table.
possible too, because all it takes is a couple moves, and Brett Veach is like, oh yeah, we can do that. We can swing that. Chris
Yeah.
Jones extension last year.
Yeah.
Like things that you didn't think would happen happened. And it's all because of the way Veach is able to manipulate the cap and not hurt the Chiefs long term as well.
Yeah, I love what he's done, and I love what he does with the undrafted free agents as well, bringing in some of these guys. My guy Riley Cole said he doesn't care either way. He'll play both ways. You know what I mean? Like some of those bi-curious dudes out there,
Yeah.
but not go too far.
Let's calm down, Jason.
Yeah, he got a little excited. He wanted those guys to go both ways for a second. I was trying to egg him on, but don't get him too excited over there.
Well, I don't have a whole lot to say about Carl Peterson. I mean, that guy was he was from a different era. So it's hard to compare him to like a Brett Veach or the guys of today because
I agree.
he was he was a fossil, an NFL fossil from way back.
The salary cap is different now too, obviously. So it is probably easier in some ways to maneuver the cap. We saw the Broncos do it when they had Peyton Manning.
Yep.
They were able to sign whoever they wanted, it seemed like, whenever they wanted, and now the Chiefs kind of have found ways to make that work too. Now, of course, the Broncos in the '90s were actually in trouble in Doc's draft picks for cheating the salary cap. So that's a different story for a different time. But just out of curiosity, you guys, real quick, do you guys have a favorite new acquisition for the NFL this year as far as a old face in a new place? Because I've seen some guys move around, but
there's been actually a lot. I think a lot.
Tanner, your guy, Tano Passanio, went to the Saints.
He did. Passanio did go to the Saints. Yeah. I think it's going to be a huge improvement for that line down there. Help Cameron Jordan out a bunch. For me, I do have one guy. How about J.J. Watt going to the Cardinals? Like, there's hard to pick a bigger move to a team such as the Arizona Cardinals. Because now you got guys like Chandler Jones, you got Isaiah Simmons, who really peaked last year towards the end. And then you got Budda Baker in the back, Malcolm Butler in the back now. Like, J.J. Watt alone is going to be a great veteran presence for that line coming up here, and he's also going to be a threat because I feel like he something about it. Maybe it's just the new location, but he looks healthy this year. It looks like he's, I don't know, maybe done something different with his diet or training or something. Or maybe it's just, like I said, a location change because he got out of Houston.
I like the fit, and we both like the Cardinals, too. I think we both agree the Cardinals are a fun team.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll just be a new atmosphere for him. It's not going to be, I don't know. I feel like with the Texans the last few years, I feel like it was like, not jail, but pretty bad chemistry, morale, everything going on. So I like J.J. Watt. I said J.J. Watt will be my favorite great addition for this defense here, and I'm expecting Arizona to really fire in this conference.
What do you got, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on J.J. Watt. He's only 32 years old, so I feel like he might have one solid year left in him before he becomes #washed king over here, like you guys see on the sign. But no, I like the pick. I think J.J. Watt's going to have a great year this year if he can stay healthy. I got a couple of guys, okay? So my first guy that I want to talk about, since this is an explicit show, my first guy that I want to talk about is Tim motherfucking Tebow. My favorite NFL most impactful player.
He's looking rocked. I mean, he still looks in great shape. So
he
looks like a bodybuilder.
He looks like he kept in shape after the Mets.
I don't think he drinks Imperial Stouts, guys.
Well, you never know about that. But my thing about Tebow is like he's going to be used as an H-back and as a tight end, and I think he's going to be a big impact in the locker room, which is always important. But also, and you could call this a hot take if you want. I don't really give a fuck. But when Trevor Lawrence gets injured, he's going to be the new starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And
over the mustache?
You guys think I'm full of shit. You guys heard it here first. I'm announcing it right now. He's going to be the starter, and he's going to get the second playoff win of his career. He was going to ride off into the sunset after getting his ass kicked by the Chiefs in his second playoff game. So I've got Tim Tebow as my first guy. And then the second guy, I just got to go with Matthew Stafford. I mean, because you got a guy as like, I've always been a big Jared Goff hater on this show.
Yes.
But I do think that he is going to get a little bit better over the years. But he's got a little ways to go in his development. And so the Rams, they've got to win right now. And so they couldn't waste any more time on this guy. And so you've got an established veteran in Matthew Stafford, and I think it's a perfect fit. And so that's my legitimate favorite, most impactful player that was added this year.
Real quick here. You had 2 hot takes on your list. Did you notice that? On that first one with Tebow? Not only did you have Andrew Lawrence and then Tebow stepping in, Andrew Lawrence being injured. And
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence.
Who's Andrew Lawrence, Tanner?
Don't ask. It's
No more Goose Islands for you.
He's drunk.
It's a work thing.
No more Goose
I've dealt
Islands.
with. It's all right. So yeah, Trevor Lawrence injured, and then Tebow stepping in. Okay, that's hot take number 1. But you have the Jacksonville Jaguars making the playoffs.
Oh yeah,
That's hot take number 2 by itself.
yeah.
My first thought was not only does he drink stouts, but he also smokes weed. So that's all I could really think while he's making that comment. So
Making the playoffs.
it's
All right.
it's a hot take, and just so you guys know, it's not like all of our hot takes always come true, right? Like I'm just
Obviously.
taking a leap of faith here, a la Tim Tebow, but fuck him. I mean, if he crashed and burned, I wouldn't give a shit one way or the other. So
we like
I hope
to
the
be
best for him.
buffoons, but we don't like to be special ed. You know what I'm saying? So, there's a big difference here, and we're crossing that line. We're getting real close
It's right there.
in the NFL world.
Who do you got, Mike? Who's on your list here?
I actually really I like the idea of the move of Carson Wentz going to the Colts because I think it's a rejuvenation to his career. I think they gave up hardly anything for him. So Eagles only got a 3rd round pick and a conditional 2022 second rounder for Carson Wentz. So he came cheap. Got to remember this is a former 1st overall pick in the draft. So Carson Wentz getting a new change of life basically with the Colts with a great offensive line.
Great
by the way,
offensive
as
line.
you guys know. Marlon Mack, as well as another great running back over there, Tanner.
Hines.
I was hoping you would say the other.
Oh, you want me to say Taylor?
Yeah, thank you.
Jonathan
Jonathan
Taylor?
Taylor. Thank you. I don't want to
But
say.
like their running backs are so deep too.
Great running backs, and then they kept T.Y. Hilton. So T.Y. Hilton's still on the team. They still got good players. Eric Fisher, by the way, is now their left tackle. So that was a signing that they made. Those of you out there, and of course Xavier Rhodes did get re-signed. But I think that the situation for him is perfect, and I think if you were going to go anywhere to try to redo your career as someone who's still in their 20s, Carson Wentz found a good spot.
He is backed with the coach that made him why he's such a big player.
And make them a run-first offense.
Yeah.
Like,
so right.
feed Jonathan Taylor, give Marlon Mack in the passing game. Hines is obviously a good receiving back.
So he's back with his quarterback coach essentially, and now he can new area, new faces, an actual line to protect him. For God's sake, we all saw that in Philadelphia. He pretty much might as well just fall to the ground up there.
The guy was broken. Like the guy was mentally broken.
And then your receiver wouldn't catch the ball. He just drops it.
That's true. The Eagles had pretty trash
So
receivers.
of course, I'm excited for Carson Wentz. I think he's actually is going to do really well, and he's going to keep the Colts in the playoff talk all year long.
It's a good situation.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see him stay healthy for a full year, but I feel like he's kind of a guy like
he has a great chance now.
He's a guy like a couple other guys that we're going to talk about later in the show in a different sport that he can't fucking stay healthy, and it's like maybe we should have a talk with him about changing his diet. But he's definitely, in my opinion, he's better than a washed up Phillip Rivers, and he's better than a Jacoby Brissett. And so I love the pick, and I hope he does stay healthy. But it's kind of like when you're talking about guys like him and Anthony Davis, like you got to get lucky.
Yep.
To get these guys healthy for a full year.
He's a guy, if he falls to your 15th round in your fantasy draft, you might be a good, luxury pick right there to go and take a quarterback.
Good backup.
Yeah, or, just good, cheap starter even potentially if you don't want to take a quarterback early. But as you know, guys, we'll talk fantasy with you guys much more coming soon as time goes on. Because we obviously run our own fantasy league here, and that's something we did last year. Did a full mock draft with you guys. Also did updates on preseason performances and helped you guys make some good picks as well. But let me go and switch over real quick for you guys. I do have something I actually wanted to talk real quick. I saw an article recently. It's not a new article by any means, but it's an article and information that came out early in 2016. The article came out before that, but I was kind of clicking through some things and I saw this idea. Jason, you're a big NBA fan. You know a lot about basketball history and things like that, and you follow it very, very closely. But I saw a little comment from our WNBA champion, Brittany Griner, from 2016. It just kind of came across and was something that interested me. And she was talking about how she could beat DeMarcus Cousins. Keep in mind, this was 5 years ago in one-on-one, to which Cousins then said, I'm glad she's that confident in her abilities, but she's also a little delusional. And then at that point, Kevin Durant also skeptical and heard this as well. But I like the confidence, BG, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So, kind of raised my interest as far as, the idea that someone, Brittany Griner or anyone in the WNBA for that matter could compete against NBA players. And Tanner, here he is scrolling his phone. He does not want to talk about this topic today, but I think I'm curious of your take, and I want to give my own input too. But on the idea that Griner could beat any NBA player, and if she ever did have a chance, who would it be against?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I am probably the only person on this set that has actually watched a live WNBA game.
I've watched
So
it, not live, I guess.
I can honestly
Yeah,
say that
like
I
you were in
have
person.
in
What you're saying?
person,
Okay, yeah,
in
no, I
person.
haven't.
I can honestly say that I probably have more respect for women's basketball than anyone on this set. So we'll just start right there with that. When you're
Lord.
talking about Brittany Griner beating DeMarcus Cousins, first of all, you got to say it's 5 years ago. So DeMarcus Cousins was still playing at an all-star level.
He was top 3 at his position at
5 years
point.
ago.
Yeah.
And you're talking about a 7-foot NBA superstar at the time, or at least an all-star, going up against a 6'8" WNBA center in Brittany Griner. That would have not happened 5 years ago. That wouldn't happen right now, even though I think we can all agree that DeMarcus Cousins is, if he's not completely washed, he's borderline washed at this stage of his career. There's no way in hell that Brittany Griner could beat him in a game of one-on-one. She's 30 years old right now, and I respect her statistics and her resume. She's the only NCAA player to score 2,000 points and block 500 shots in a career. And so if I had to pick a player, and before I state the player that I think she could potentially beat, I have to point out the fact that she's not going to beat any NBA players. She's not going to beat any NCAA players as far as Division I, unless you want to pull out like a random mid-major school and take the last guy on the bench.
Bet you she beats Mitch Lightfoot.
Okay, well we're not getting to you yet, Tanner. You got your player. You just hold him in your back pocket for a second. So my point is like she's not going to beat any Division I NCAA player unless maybe it's the last guy on the bench that doesn't even play a single minute in an NCAA game. Certainly not going to beat an NBA player, and no way in hell she's going to beat a G League player because these guys are all studs as far as the men's game is concerned. But I will pick a player. The one guy that I think would be an interesting matchup for her is Nick Stauskas, formerly of the Michigan Wolverines, drafted by the Sacramento Kings in the infamous 2014 NBA draft. And I'm sure you guys are tired of me talking about the 2014 NBA draft and how shitty it was, how many underachievers were in that draft. But, it's basically Joel Embiid, Julius Randle. Those guys have had really good careers so far. I mean, Julius Randle is having a great year this year, but the rest of that draft is trash. Nick Stauskas is basically in the G League right now. So if I could pick one motherfucker to see play against Brittany Griner, it's going to be Nick Stauskas. He does shoot 35% from 3 for his career. He's 6'6", 207 pounds. He's basically almost the same size, just slightly shorter than Brittany Griner. But if I could pick one matchup, that's what it would be. And I do believe that Nick Stauskas would beat her, but she might score a few points.
Yeah, I don't know who that is, Jason, that you mentioned, that name you said, but, I just thought it was still interesting about how she was talking that smack back then. And she said out there, we talk a lot of smack, and she said, it's okay, little man, to Mr. DeMarcus Cousins, which Cousins then said, whenever you're ready to get it on camera, see her get embarrassed. I'm hoping he's talking about playing basketball and not something that you'd see on Pornhub.
Oh
But
Lord.
he says he's ready. She's also a little delusional, so that was his comments. But
One thing, real quick, before you go on, Mike, I want to point out, it just came to me as an NBA aficionado. I know why she picked him, and it's because he's always injured. Like he's kind of like Anthony Davis, except he like flamed out a long time before Anthony Davis. So that's why she picked DeMarcus Cousins specifically, is because he's basically an injured bum. So she thought that she could beat him because he would probably get injured in a one-on-one match, and then that's how she would win.
I don't know.
I found a guy that she
Wasn't
might.
really picked. I don't think. I'm pretty sure they were probably just joking around and it happened. Right?
With what?
Like it just.
We don't joke around on this show, Tanner. We're taking
Like,
all
it's
these
just-
arguments
it just
seriously. I
happened.
don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I don't think we've ever said
It
a
wasn't
joke
like
of
she
this
got on like, a call out and took Cousin's hat and ran away like a little girl.
This was at the Olympics, by the way, of 2016, which is a very serious event, as you guys know.
Oh
So,
yeah.
I'm just saying she meant what she said, and she needs to get owned. I got one guy that I think she could potentially have a chance against, but only because she'd be like, slightly faster. But guy Cristiano Felicio, he's a 6'11", 270, so he's huge compared to her being a 6'8", 207, 208. But I mean, if I'm looking at his numbers across the board, he's one of the worst players in the NBA. I mean, his free throw percentage is 67%. Hers is 80% for her career. His field goal percent is 57. Hers is 55%. Now, keep in mind these are going against other opposing females. But I think that she'd have a chance against them just based on pure quicks, and maybe they're both centers. You get something done in the paint potentially. I mean, that's my thoughts on that. But otherwise, I think she's crazy. And those of you out there watching and following along on YouTube or even Spotify, get a hold of us on Twitter and let us know your comments and what you think about the idea that is it possible for a woman in the WNBA to have a chance against competing one-on-one or even competing with the rest of the guys in an NBA game. I know Jason and I both strongly think that it's just not going to go over well.
So I do have a Twitter post out there I posted today about would a WNBA player like Brittany Griner beat any NBA player like any scrub on the bench, like maybe the Lakers. Or
That's our topic, Tanner.
No.
And I got a 50-50.
50-50.
50-50.
Yeah, I wish they would do it. I mean,
I
I would
think
like
it'd be
to
fun.
see it.
I'd love to watch it.
But the NBA players, I mean, I don't know. There's just a handful of players. Like, what is it, 300-400 players in the entire league? I mean, you could take the worst player, like you're talking about, Mike, that Feliciano or whatever the fuck his name is, and she wouldn't even come close. I mean, she'd be lucky to score a couple of points against him. That's why I picked a guy that used to be in the NBA. Now he's in the G League. But I mean, I think she could make it interesting. That's my point. She could make it interesting. She's not going to beat any of these guys.
One thing I'm going to say right now to trump Tanner's previous thoughts is this: that we've had an argument on this show before about can a college team beat a pro team, and Tanner thinks it's not possible.
That's a completely different argument.
I think it's possible, but I think it's similar of an argument though.
Okay, so right quick before we drag on too long, but what's the shittiest team in the NFL right now? Could they beat Alabama Crimson Tide?
I mean,
No.
just right now, that's a debate. I mean, you got
No
the Jets,
chance.
you got the Jets in there,
No chance.
teams like that. Wait, no chance of what?
No chance. No chance Alabama's going to beat any.
Alabama could beat quite a few of those teams, but
I wouldn't say every year that they could do that, but it's been proven in the past that you could.
They could win
but
a game.
It only happened, I think, 3 times ever in the history of because they used to compete. They actually used to do the best college team would face off against the Super Bowl champions, not the worst team, but the best team.
Yeah.
And the college team won 3 times actually out of that entire history of doing that game. And that would go on. That happened, I think, beginning in the 30s all the way through the 60s and beginning of the 70s, where that game was concluded. So now we're talking males versus males. Then we're comparing now a WNBA against full-grown men.
Yeah, it's a completely different argument. And the one other thing that I would throw in just to compare to these things is the fact that when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who is, in my opinion, actually not my opinion, it's a fact, the second best player in NBA history, when he was a freshman on UCLA, the freshmen were not allowed to play back then on the varsity as starters. that freshman team with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, they would run scrimmages and they would beat the varsity team. And so that's how I do my comparison with an Alabama Crimson Tide team playing against a shitty NFL team. I mean, that's men versus men, and there's no doubt in my mind that Alabama could beat one of those teams.
Yeah. Well, anyways, out there listening, leave us a comment. I want to know your thoughts on if it's possible and if you'd like to see it happen, and maybe who she could, obviously compete against in the NBA, or whoever the top female is of their sport could compete against.
Did you pick a player, Tanner? Was it Lonzo Ball? That's your
Lonzo.
official choice?
Lonzo would get destroyed by Brittany Griner. So.
Well, so I'm gonna throw in LiAngelo Ball.
Oh yeah.
I do believe that she could score on him. She wouldn't beat him one-on-one, but I do believe she would score some points on LiAngelo Ball, who is not in the NBA right now.
That's right, because he was on the Pistons and then got cut.
Well, he was on UCLA,
which is the worst team in the NBA, and he still got cut.
But more importantly, he was on UCLA, and then he stole some stuff. In Italy, off UCLA.
In Italy, yeah. Poor life choices.
Well, I've got good news and bad news for you guys now. Because good news is the Royals are above 500. Bad news is there's still not a consistent ball club where we have guys like, your favorite Brady Singer.
I love Brady Singer.
Having trouble with a 5 ERA, and then having guys like Raul Mondesi, or I should say, keep calling him Raul. Alberto, well, because that was his name originally.
I know.
Alberto Mondesi Jr., coming back, hitting a home run and getting injured simultaneously. That is exactly his career. It sounds wonderful. Pulling a left hamstring. That's not
tweaked it.
It's frustrating.
Tweaked it.
Right, he tweaked it, but it's like, dude, come on. You just got back from a major injury, and you came back and you get injured a couple days later. That's ridiculous.
Now, hang tight. Before we all go bashing Alberto here on everything.
Nobody's going to bash him. Okay? I'm not here to bash him.
Look, the guy has already only played 7 games. He has 2 homers, 5 rubies, and he has 3 doubles.
Well, hello, Sammy. Hello, Sammy Watkins. Can you stay on the field now?
And hello, Anthony Davis.
Can you stay on the court now?
Hey, we just went 3 sports in one fucking sentence. There you go.
The guy, he's day to day. Nothing's official. He feels good. He'll probably be back come this weekend. So I'm not really concerned about his injury. The guy's performing, especially when he's on the field, like Sam. But I think he's going to still be impactful for the team. Hopefully they can figure out. And I think it's just precautionary. Right? I think that's the only reason why we're hearing about this. He's like, hey, I felt something. And we're all like, all right, cut him. Let's get him on the bench. Give him a couple days. It was just Pittsburgh, too.
Is it just annoying, though, to have to deal with that? No. Never know.
We do it as a Chiefs, all right, as a KC Chiefs fans, we deal with it all the time, right? Sammy Watkins. Eric
That's
Berry.
frustrating. That's why we let go of Sammy Watkins.
Frustrating. But
let go of Eric Berry.
The guy is also worth it. Like, you see the numbers he produces, and it's better than anything else we got in the field right now. Bobby Witt's still up and coming. He's having a hell of a minor league season so far. The guy could be on the 40-man or on the major league team come September during call-up. So watch for him. But I mean, right now I think Alberto Mondesi is your guy. Is your main guy, and there's no reason to worry about what's going on with him.
Yeah, the thing about Alberto Mondesi is that it's just a hamstring, so I don't want to blow this thing out of proportion.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a day-to-day thing.
Yeah,
it's a tweak. It's not even a pull; it's a tweak.
Right. So technically, he's injured. I get that, but to me, he could potentially be the best player on the team. And as far as like his injury history and all that stuff, I mean, at some point in his career, we are going to sit here and say the best case scenario for him is going to be Lorenzo Cain, where all of a sudden, when he hits 27, 28, and 29, all of a sudden he just stops getting injured. And I'll take that. I mean, but like our point earlier, he's basically the Anthony Davis of Major League Baseball. I mean, he's batting .360 this year in 25 at bats. And I'll say the same thing as I've said about Anthony Davis. Just think about, what you're putting into your body. And nobody ever talks about this, but I will say that LeBron James, he puts a lot of money and effort into his diet and
Tom Brady.
And what he puts in his body. Tom Brady. And it's like, I wish a lot of these guys who are injury prone in sports no matter what sport they're in. I wish they would take a little bit more stock in their diet. But I mean, as far as Mondesi is concerned, I mean, I'm not going to write him off because I do believe that he still has a future on this team. And when I look at the Royals' record right now, guys, we're only 5 games out of first. Okay, so I don't want people to sit there and say, the Royals are cooked this year, and why are we even fucking talking about this? I mean, the Royals could still win the division. Like, they're
Yes.
only 5
Yes.
fucking games out. So I don't want to hear anybody out there just try to give up on Mondesi, give up on the Royals, give up on Brady Singer. I don't want to hear about any of that shit because they're going to be, I mean, I think they're easily going to be over 500 at the end of the year. I mean, we kind of went back and forth early in the season. My opinion is they will be over 500. Question is, are they going to win the division? And in my opinion, they still have a shot at it.
They do have a shot.
I have a question though, because I want somebody called up, so that means somebody has to go down. I'm not saying Mondesi, but give me Bobby Witt Jr. right now on this team. I know he's in Double A right now with the Naturals.
Send
Do you
Nicky
guys-
Lopez down.
Sure, send him down. Send Nicky Lopez down.
I'm
I'd be
in.
very happy with that. Do you guys realize this? Bobby Witt Jr. now has 7 home runs in 22 games, and then he had 3 home runs in one
Yep,
game.
on the other night. Yep.
That's ridiculous. That's absolutely
And you
insane.
should look up when you get a chance around. Look up Nick Prado.
Prado, no,
right
Prado.
there with him.
I thought Prado should have been kept
He
during spring training.
Correct.
Prado actually had almost the
those
most
guys,
home runs.
and there's I can't remember their pitcher right now, but like that Double A team right now is sparking right now, and that is
Mhm.
some good life to see. But they're not going to call it up yet. They got guys in that positions. They want these guys to develop and get the playing time, and this is the way to get the playing time. So AAA isn't really used as much nowadays to, like you progress, right? Single A, double A, triple A. It's not really used as much. Double A, it's more used for the guys to develop, and that's where they come from to become major league players. Triple A is more of a, you could say, rehab assignment.
Mhm.
Right?
I've noticed that.
So,
yeah.
so it's changed over the years. So the fact they're in Double A, yes, they are next to come up.
Would you be in favor of Witt coming up, skipping over AAA completely, and just going straight to MLB to be a Royal?
That's how it should be.
Okay.
I agree. That's exactly how it should
I think
be.
you're right about that too. I've noticed that too, where it seems like AAA has become more of a rehab assignment, where AA is where the most of your talent of your actual organization lies.
And you hear so much more from Double A teams than you do Triple A, and that's
Like-
due to the fact that it's these guys that are soon to be Major League Baseball players, and that's where they're coming from. They're coming from that Double A team.
I think Nick Prado, I mean, the guy was phenomenal in spring training.
Yes.
He put in huge numbers. I actually thought, despite the numbers alone, they'd keep him on the roster. Ended up not happening. Ended up, being sent down to Double A. But I think I know we're worried about sometimes service time and stuff like that when it comes to baseball. But if you're a team like the Royals right now, you want to make the playoffs. I personally think Bobby Witt Jr. is ready. At least I'm willing to see what happens.
Yeah, I totally agree with you that he is ready. But speaking of AAA being a rehab assignment, what do you guys think about this? And this is kind of a hot take as well. Talking about Brady Singer, I'm a big Brady Singer fan, and he's got a long way to go in his development, and he's going to improve. But do we need to do with Brady Singer what we did with Moose a few years back, which is send his ass down to the minor leagues? Because I feel like this guy needs a wake-up call. He's got a 5.06 ERA, and I feel like as much as I want him to improve, and I do believe that he will improve, do you think that's an option for the Royals going forward?
I don't think necessarily there yet, right? I'm not as concerned with Senior right now.
He's got a lot to prove, though, Tanner.
He's not really having horrible games. Yes, he's given up a lot of runs. But
Did you notice his throwing error from last night?
Yes.
Throw
Hey.
to second.
PFP, man. That's just PFP. That should be second nature. I don't know why that's happening. The guy had 6 Ks last night. He had 3 Ks on his really bad game with Tampa Bay, but Tampa Bay is a really good team. That's the thing. He is great against these bad teams, but you hit Chicago and you hit Tampa, might as well shit the bed for some reason. So I'd say I'm not there yet. I'd say let's get to the All-Star break. Let's see where he's at. If he's going the wrong direction, continue going the wrong direction. Yeah, Let him down.
Yeah, a lot of
Alex
guys.
Gordon wake up call, right? We could say
Yeah.
Alex Gordon the same thing.
A lot of guys just need to be motivated in
But
different
this
ways,
is
and I just don't know
yeah.
if maybe that's
This
the answer for Brady
this is
Singer.
also a guy that, due to the COVID situation, he had to skip a whole entire year, possibly in Double A, with guys like Bobby Witt, Nick Prado, right? He immediately got sent up straight to the major, so it's all been adjustment for him. You're taking a young guy like this, and then taking him into a second major league year, and it's inconsistency with the coaching as well. So now he's trying to figure it all out again. And I mean, it's the guy missed out on a key development year, and this could have been his rookie year, right? You got to remember that part too. Is the guy got thrown into this, so now he's still trying to figure out. All right, they saw me in the first year. Now how can I disguise some of my pitches and locate better the second year to continue that success I had in the first year?
Yeah, what I don't understand, Tanner, that bothers me the most actually is that obviously Singer has a lot of potential. And we do plan on him being potentially the ace of the future of this team. But why is it that he gets so much praise from guys like Josh Vernier over there at 6'10", talking about, oh, he's just different. He's got a certain demeanor to him, this and that. It's like, I care about results. I care about what at the end of the day. I don't care if you walk up there with your shoulders shrugged down, staring at the dirt. If you go out there and have 9 strikeouts and give up 1 run, good damn job. Go out there and shit the bed, even though you look confident as hell. It doesn't matter to me. Vernier is over there.
The guy strikes people out, though. That's the thing. He's up there.
Fine, but
he's
his
giving
ERA
Ks.
still says 5.
Yeah. Well, that
So when you sit
missing
there
pitches.
and try to talk about a certain demeanor, that reminds me of fucking Zach Greinke.
Yeah.
So I don't care about his fucking demeanor. Let's fix
Right.
his fucking
Me
game.
either, because Vernier. I'm not
It's
trying to
bec-
bash Vernier on the radio here, but like he's a guy who's continuously praising Brady
There's-
Singer, and he's different. Okay, what about the numbers? What about the
He's
facts
the
at the
hope.
end of the day?
He's the hope, is what it is.
What, Vernier?
Brady Senior is the hope. That's why everybody praises the guy. The guy.
I think he has
'cause
potential.
He dominated his first year, COVID year, right, with everything. The guy comes out and still he lit fire the first half of the year. Right? They hit May, they shit the bed. We all saw that. You guys know about it. And he's continuing to kind of struggle with the earned runs, the missed pitches. I think that's our issue. Is it's not necessarily bad pitching the entire time. It's those missed pitches he has that's being taken advantage of by these batters, and that's why you're seeing all these earned runs. Because the guy locates. Obviously, look at his Ks. The guy locates just fine, but if he misses one pitch, obviously it's biting him in the ass.
Yeah, we need to see results. We need it to,
Hey,
'cause
we
if he,
just gotta see
if he
the
gets it
trend.
together, I mean, this is the team that could go from obviously Danny Duffy being out now for probably the year. This could go from
I don't think he's. So quick update on Duffy. From what I heard, the guy was throwing hard. He's not quite ready yet, but it's still not a concern about him being out for the year. We're probably still looking at maybe July at the earliest, from what I've heard.
Okay.
But the guy, there's no chance as of right now. They're still doing seeing how he feels, seeing the. Just FYI.
That would be great. I would hope that's
There's
the case.
still
'Cause
there's still a hope Duffy will be back by All-Star break.
the more arms, the better, in my opinion. But obviously, you guys know right now the current time of events. We got the NBA playoffs going on right now. So I know I like I said earlier in the beginning of the show, I'm pretty happy with seeing the Suns up 3-2 on the Lakers at the moment, because that's kind of been my underdog team to kind of root for, has been the Phoenix Suns. But I'm curious what you guys think of what's going on right now in the state of the NBA playoffs. Give me kind of a roundtable discussion of the current matchups and what you guys think about this. Obviously, the Brooklyn Nets won their series.
Right.
That one's over with. We
And now
expected
the
that.
Celtics are imploded.
Yeah, Celtics are imploded now due to that beat down, which they deserved. But yeah, so you guys are the NBA guys here. I want you guys to, give your thoughts, and then also if you guys feel like I might know something, talk about it. Obviously now, if you're live with us, not you're live, but on YouTube here, it's Clippers or 76ers, excuse me, are up 116-100 over the Wizards.
Yeah, so we can go ahead and start off with that series since they're playing the game right now. It's 116-100, 76ers. I mean, I could have told you guys this like 3 hours ago that this was going to happen, but Philadelphia is up 3-1 in the series. Joel Embiid has a torn meniscus. He is day to day, and I'm not worried about that in this series. I'd be worried about that going forward if you're trying to have an NBA championship. But I look at the rest of that team, with Embiid out, they had Dwight Howard, in the starting lineup. And obviously,
Mhm.
Dwight Howard is not what he used to be, but he's certainly capable of filling in for Joel Embiid in this series. And so you can't forget about guys like Tobias Harris, Danny Green, Seth Curry.
Seth Curry with another monster game again.
Yeah,
28 freaking points.
absolutely. And like their last guy that gets rotational minutes is George Hill, who is like, he's a really good veteran player that can get you a lot of production. And, they also have Ben Simmons. And so my prediction on this series is that it's over. I didn't know if it would be over tonight, but it looks like with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter that it is going to be over. So that's going to be 4-1. So now you're just looking at a situation where how long does it take for Joel Embiid to get healthy? Because we all know they're not going to compete for an Eastern Conference championship, let alone the finals, if Joel Embiid is not healthy. And so he does have a torn meniscus, and we'll see how long he's out. But I mean, hopefully he can get healthy for that next series. What do you think about this, Tanner?
I thought this was kind of interesting series. I actually expected Washington or the Wizards to pull ahead, to bring out game. Was it 4 or 5 going into this? So it's kind of downfall for the Wizards. But Bradley Beal had 32 points right now. Westbrook with 24 currently with 5 minutes left. So those guys obviously performed really well. I thought it was kind of interesting if you look at it here. Ben Simmons did not shoot as much at all. He was only 6 for 10 in field goal, no 3-point attempts. So I think that was kind of a key though, is he passed the ball around instead of trying to take it himself because he's been struggling trying to get in the hoop here. That's been kind of the downfall for the 76ers this last game when Westbrook kind of took over. But Tobias Harris, Seth Curry, I mean, you're not. The issue is without Embiid, you're not going to see these numbers consistently going into a series here. And if you want to transition to the next series of who they may play,
Well, that's fine. I just want to throw one more thing out there. We've talked about this many, many times on the show, and my emphasis is always on the fact that role players, if they're going to play well, it's always at home. Because generally they play like shit when they go on the road, and that's what's happened with the Washington Wizards. Westbrook and Bradley Beal have had great games so far, but when you look at the other guys, they're all playing like shit. And the reason why they're playing like shit is they're playing in Philly. And so that's the only thing I have to add to that. But, it doesn't matter. This series is over.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of expected that. No big result there. So the 76ers, as they close out that game, they move on to face the winner of the series of the Atlanta Hawks and New York Knicks. This is kind of a surprising series that it wasn't a lot closer to myself. Right now, the Hawks are winning 74-62 in the end of the third, which is kind of what I expected. Trae Young with 18 points, but I was kind of happy to see here. It's not just Trae Young's show today. You got Collins, Hunter, and Capella all with in the double digits here on the points, which is awesome to see because that means they're getting help. Not much on the bench, but you don't need that when you got Trae Young sitting there scoring all the points. And on the Knicks side, Randall's doing all the work. Other than that, you might as well just sit on the bench.
Yeah, it's this series makes me sad because I really like Julius Randle because he came from that infamous 2014 draft, which I despise, with all these shitty ass fucking underachieving players. He came out of that draft, and I've always liked him because he's the one of the few overachievers out of that draft. So I love Julius Randle. The problem in this series is that they keep double and triple teaming him every time he gets the ball, and they're trying to make somebody else beat them. Well, the only other decent player on the team is fucking Derrick Rose.
Let's say that's
and
about
is
it.
he like fucking 40 years old? He's probably older than me by now, but he can only give you so much at this stage of his career.
I mean,
and
Randall
so,
still has a double-double tonight, and you know the guy's being double-teamed the entire night.
Yeah, I mean, so I am not going to put this on Julius Randle at all.
Not at
He is
all.
an all-star player, and I'm glad that he finally reached all-star status this year. But after you get past him and D Rose, I mean, that's a shitty ass roster. So I hope they can get a little bit better next year, because you're comparing the two rosters of them and the Atlanta Hawks. Well, the Atlanta Hawks don't have a great roster. It's just better than the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're looking at a guy like Trae Young. I mean, he's a budding superstar in the league, and the roster it's just a little bit better than the Knicks right now. And so I hope the Knicks do better next year. But this series is basically over.
Any surprise for this series at all for you for the outcome? Like it probably could have gone either way if whoever got hotter, but obviously Trae Young and that squad with Capella is probably a better squad overall as a team, and that's kind of why they came out on top.
It's not surprising to me because, as we all know in the NBA, the seeds don't matter. But I do look at a guy like Clint Capella on the Hawks and guys like Bogdanovich, Danilo Gallinari.
Yep.
Those guys are seasoned veterans. And so they've been there and done that. They're ready to take that next step in their career. Whereas if you look at the Knicks roster, two of their really good players are rookies.
Yep.
So it's like, they're really young, and the Hawks have more seasoned veterans. And so I think experience comes into play here. And that's why I'm not shocked at all that the Hawks are going to get a playoff win.
So quick, what to expect here, Jason? Just a quick recap or preview coming up here. Let's call it the 76ers, Hawks going into the series this upcoming weekend. What do you expect before our next show?
I mean, 76ers Hawks. I mean, that's...
No, I think it all depends on Embiid, right? Is Embiid healthy? Is he not? That's kind of where I take a look. I think Trae Young could possibly give the 76ers team a really tough time with Capella down low as well.
I just don't think it matters. I mean, I think, as I alluded to earlier, when you look at that 76ers roster, what do you have? You have seasoned veterans. You have Ben Simmons. You have Danny Green, Seth Curry, Dwight Howard. These are all seasoned veterans. George Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Hawks have a chance. I think it could be a very interesting series, and I think it could potentially go to the distance. But if you don't have,
that's what I'm hearing.
I don't have a lot of concern. In
Okay.
fact, I think you could just let Joel Embiid sit out the whole fucking thing, and they would still beat the Hawks.
Interesting take. We'll have to follow up here next Wednesday as we go in there. Jason, next series that's going on tonight as well. That starts here 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Grizzlies, Jazz. Jazz are up 3-1 here on the Grizz. John Morant, of course, is putting up a show every single night. Can John Morant get this thing done and force a game 5?
No, John Morant is not going to get it done, and it's kind of similar to the New York Knicks situation. The Memphis roster is just way too young, and the Jazz have way too much firepower. So they've got another Bogdanovich, not the one from Atlanta, but this one is Bojan Bogdanovich. They've got Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell,
who just came back, by the way.
These guys are seasoned veterans, and they've got way too much experience. And I appreciate what Memphis did this year, but they just need to get older because the Jazz are up 3-1 right now. And by the way, here's another guy from the 2014 NBA draft, which most of them shit the bed. 6th man of the year, Jordan Clarkson. Shout out to Jordan Clarkson.
You're always finding those 2014s.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Clarkson is just like, he's been playing amazing this year.
Mm-hmm.
6th man of the year. And when you got a guy like that coming off your bench for Utah, especially playing in the altitude where you always have home court advantage, I'll take Utah all day long against Memphis.
I like it. And then final game tonight here coming up is the Mavericks and Clippers, the disappointing Clippers. But they did come back and tie it 2-2 at home. So, what are we seeing here? Is the Clippers team finally figured it out and they're going to turn this around against the Mavericks? Or is Luka just going to dominate?
It's many different things here. So I think that the Clippers, they figured it out. And I didn't say it on the show, but I was telling a lot of my friends that this is the one series that could turn around, even though everybody, including I think Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, they all wrote the Clippers off because the Clippers lost. They went down 0-2 at home.
Correct.
And it's very rare to see a team that goes down 0-2 at home come back and win the series. And I said it right from the onset. I said, there's not a whole lot going on with that Mavs team outside of Luka Doncic. I mean, there's not a whole lot of experience. I mean, Porzingis certainly doesn't have too much playoff experience. And so now all of a sudden the series sits at 2-2. You've got Luka Doncic, who has a cervical strain, which is pain in the neck. So it's this series is very similar to the Memphis Jazz series. It's just a lack of experience on the Mavericks, and Luka Doncic has to be at 100%. He has to be at
Has to
100%
be,
for
right?
them to have a chance at winning the series. And I told you guys that this series was far from over when the Mavs went up 2-0 on the road. Now, I do believe that the Clippers are going to win the series. They're favored by 7 in this game. And I think the role players of the Mavericks are just shell shocked right now. So I'd be surprised if the Mavericks even show up in this game. I think Luka will show up, but I don't think the supporting cast is going to do
Who else
shit.
is going to show up is the question. So it's going to be interesting how that series finished out if the Clippers can actually come back and win that series.
Yeah, I mean they're on the road, so
Yeah.
they're literally. I'm looking at their roster. Nobody's going to show up, not in this game. So they got to wait until it gets back to Dallas, and then you might have a couple of role players, like maybe Tim Hardaway Jr., who, I mean, Hardaway had a great game in the series, but he put up 4 points in the last game. So he didn't do shit. I mean, it's like they don't have any answer. It's like, who's their second best player? Like, if you can't answer that question, then they got a fucking problem.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who their second.
I don't know
best
who their
player
second
is.
would be.
Now, do you guys think either one of these teams between the Trailblazers and Nuggets are going to amount to anything as we go forward here in the playoffs?
I mean, Dame just put a record up, 55 points, and they
Mhm.
still lost the game. So obviously, it's not enough for Dame to just go all out.
Yeah, I was just curious. As I was looking over some things, and you guys here kind of discussing each game matchup by matchup, something that I always look for when I'm looking at teams when it comes to the NFL or MLB is point differential or run score differential. And that seems to always tell me a lot about who truly the better team at the end of this year. I want to let you guys know at the end of the regular season in the NBA this year, the top 5 teams with the number 1 point differentials over the course of the season went in this order. Number 1, Utah Jazz at 9.2 points differential positive, obviously. After that was the Clippers at 6, Milwaukee Bucks at 5.8, Phoenix Suns at 5.8, and the 76ers at 5.5. What do all 5 of those teams have in common? All 5 of those teams are dominating their, current games right now. And I think that goes a long ways. The only team in question to me right now is the Suns. That because obviously you guys have high hopes for the Lakers to maybe be able to make something work here in the next few days. But I think if you look at that alone, that tells you all you need to know about the state of the NBA. Is like it's very present, and you look at the stats right there of who the better team is, just 1 through 5, right away. Do you guys agree with that?
I appreciate the point differential discussion. The only issue I have with that is like a lot of us know out there in the NBA world that when you're talking about regular season point differential, that doesn't mean shit. So when you get into the playoffs, you can see a lot of different things happen. Defense is one thing that always steps up in the playoffs. When you're talking about those elite teams, a lot of the elite teams may not really play that good at defense in the regular season. So that's how that point differential can get skewed.
Well, even then,
at
it's the same
times.
thing. In the postseason right now, the differential is number 1, Bucks, 76ers, Nets, Jazz, and Suns. Those are your top 5 teams in differential right now. So, I mean, I just think you look at that alone, if you're dominating your opponent, those are the better teams. Those are the best teams in your league.
So you had the Jazz. Was Denver in there?
Denver's not in there. But if
They're
you want
not
to talk
in there.
about defensive leaders so far in the postseason, the Suns, Bucks, Hawks, Lakers, then Knicks.
Yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about that Portland Nuggets series because it's kind of like we talk about anytime you're talking about the Utah Jazz. Anybody that plays the Denver Nuggets, they got to deal with altitude. So that's what I feel like Portland was struggling with a little bit in that last game. So now
You think that was why McCollum stepped out of bounds?
it's possible.
because of the
I
altitude.
mean, it sounds ridiculous. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you're
no, I'm
playing in
just
that
saying,
high
like,
altitude, you know, especially with a team like Portland, you've only got a couple of really great players.
correct.
So, I mean, when you're playing in altitude, I mean, it takes a lot more out of you. And so I'm looking at that Portland Nuggets series. You can take it to the bank. Portland's going to win that next game. I'll bet any amount of money right
So
now.
you're saying this scene pretty much will go 7.
Yeah, absolutely.
Easy.
It's going 7-game series. And you look at guys like Michael Porter Jr. put up 26 points in that last game. Monty Morris. Does anybody know on this show? Have you guys ever heard of Monty Morris?
Yeah, he played for Iowa State.
Put up 28 fucking points. I mean,
I know
so
him well.
the big factor is altitude, especially with the road teams, because the Denver Nuggets, they're used to it. Utah Jazz, they're used to it. These guys don't give a shit. And the role players like Michael Porter Jr., Monty Morris, they step up when they're playing at home, even in altitude. So when you look at that game 7 that I do believe will happen in Denver, Jokic is going to be a monster. And
Which we already know.
Yeah, I mean, there's just I feel bad for Portland because they lose, you know, every fucking year, and I want to see Dame Dalla.
I'm like,
Dame
I
Dalla.
don't feel bad for Portland. I feel bad for Dame, dude.
I
Dame.
feel bad for Dame Dalla.
Every year.
Is there a way that we could get Dame Dalla on the New York Knicks?
He ain't leaving
Because
Portland.
if we could get him on the Knicks with fucking Julius Randle
Julius
and those
Randle's
rookies,
going to go to Portland. It's what's going to happen. Because
Shit.
Dame ain't leaving. Dame ain't leaving. He's already said that. But man, like how upsetting is it for Lillard? He scores. He takes his team, comes back in the fourth quarter, ties it. Then he takes them back and they go to double overtime, and you lose potential shot because McCollum didn't realize where the out of bounds was, catching it on the wing, and he takes his foot, steps out of bounds. 10 seconds left, and you're down 3.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's all about the altitude.
Oh,
so
my Lord.
if he would have been at sea level, there's no fucking way that foot would have gone out of bounds. But that's neither here nor there. What I was going to tell you guys is maybe I'm looking at this from the wrong perspective. Maybe Julius Randle needs to go to Portland.
That's what I'm saying.
Because if Dame Dalla's not leaving, dude, I'm going to get fucking pissed because I want to see this guy win a fucking championship.
Lillard would have been on a super.
Who we got
team
next?
right
Lakers and Suns?
Oh, man. Lakers and Suns, yeah, they're the last series really going on right now, right? So, like, obviously, AD's out, hurt again, and nobody else is stepping up on the Lakers outside of LeBron. Does the Lakers even stand a chance to win the series now if AD continues to be out? Sure, they're saying he's going to be healthy. The guy is not going to be healthy. You and I both know this. He's not going to play. Maybe if they go to Game 7, he might play. But is he going to be effective? Probably not.
AD's not going to play Game 6. Like, I can tell you that right the fuck now. So you got Phoenix is up 3-2 in the series. But what I will always say on this show is that you never underestimate the power of the GOAT. And I don't care how old he is. So don't underestimate the power of the GOAT. So CP3 is injured right now. He's playing, but he's not 100%. He's still impacting the game at a high level. When I look at Game 6, I mean, like we say with these other role players, I mean, the Phoenix Suns role players aren't going to do shit in this game. So I do have the Lakers winning this game because I don't see guys like on the Suns. I mean, Jay Crowder's not going to do shit. DeAndre Ayton, when these guys play on the road, you're going to have Devin Booker getting all your fucking points. And at that point, LeBron doesn't need AD because he's playing at home in Staples Center. So I am going to pick the Lakers to win this game. And as far as the series, I mean, I'm going to flip a coin, dude, because I'm never going to count out the GOAT.
You
LeBron James.
can't count out
Never
LeBron
count him
James.
out.
That's the only issue. You can't count him out. And I don't know. My tear is like with AD out, it's just LeBron. But LeBron isn't also putting up the points he does in past years, right? He's not being able to put that up because he's still kind of hurt as well. He's not fully healthy.
He's not fully healthy.
You're at 75% LeBron James right now, and the guy's trying to lead what he can, but his team ain't doing nothing, anything. So it's tough. It's tough.
I mean, I do want to see the Lakers win this series, just despite Mike Settle over here, because I don't want to.
Because you don't want to see me be right.
I don't want to see him be right ever on an NBA topic the rest of my life. But my problem is like the Lakers role players, they play like shit in Game 5. So if this goes to a Game 7, guess what's going to happen?
It's going to
again?
be rough.
Those Lakers role players, they're going to play like
you
shit
better
again.
pray and hope AD shows back up.
No, well, and that's the other thing. I do believe that they're going to
currently a game time decision.
They're going to throw AD out there in Game 7. He won't play Game 6,
Right.
but here's what's going to happen. They're going to throw him out there in Game 7. He's going to fuck his groin, and then what are you left with? Your second best player being Dennis Schroeder. And that's my biggest issue, because we've talked about this before about, you got guys like playoff Rondo that play like shit in the regular season. They show up in the playoffs. Well, Dennis Schroeder is the opposite of that. Schroeder is a big-time baller in the regular season, but he hasn't done shit in the playoffs. And so I have a hard time hanging my hat on Schroeder being the second best player on the Lakers in a Game 7. And that's why, if CP3 can give me like 80%, I'll roll with the Suns to win the series. But, if something happens to CP3 and he fucks his shoulder again, I'm going to take LeBron. I'll take LeBron.
Trouble. Yeah, because Booker ain't stepping
Because
up.
then you're looking at a situation where it's basically LeBron and Booker. I'm going to take LeBron all day long in that series.
It's like that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what plays out here, because obviously they play tomorrow night, and we'll see how the end result comes about. But going forward throughout the playoffs, we're gonna have obviously next week to discuss more of this and see exactly how things unfolded. As time goes on,
see how things start as well for the next series.
Obviously, good to see the Nets and Bucks get back in action again and that kind of deal, which will be more exciting. My favorite team right now, currently in the series. But any final words for you guys? Anything you want to burst out that you haven't gotten to let out of your system yet?
Yeah, I just got one more quick point, and that's the fact that we didn't talk about the Nets or the Bucks, but basically, they both won their series at this point. That's basically, to me, whoever wins that series, which is inevitable, is going to win the NBA championship. So whoever comes out of the East is going to win a ring this year. And we do need to throw out the point that Danny Ainge of the Celtics, ever since they lost that series to the Nets, he has stepped down.
He's retired.
Well, yeah, he's probably going to come out of retirement. He's like fucking 62
like Phil
years
Jackson.
old. But, I mean, he stepped down. So Brad Stevens is going to step up into the front office and take control of basketball operations. And my take on this is that Danny Ainge, he's a great general manager. He did everything he could. And my reason why he stepped down is because his fucking team got injured every fucking year, whether you're talking about Jaylen Brown this year.
Yep.
Kemba Walker wasn't healthy in this series.
Yep.
You can go back to Kyrie Irving when he was on the Celtics, and you can go back to Isaiah Thomas. I mean,
IT. Yep.
it's it's like I'm a big believer in Danny Ainge, but when you have all these fucking injuries going on and nobody can control that, I could step in, Tanner could step in, Mike could step in as a GM of an NBA or NFL team. Nobody can control the injuries, and so props to Danny Ainge for being a great GM, but
it's solid work.
He's going to step down.
Yeah, so we'll see how Brad Stevens takes that place.
Yeah, definitely a good way to wrap it up there, Jason. That is some good points there. Well, I guess we're going to finish our Imperial Stouts, or at least I'm going to finish my last few sips while Jason maybe grabs another drink. I don't know. We'll see. But those of you out there, if you're still following along, thank you so much. Thanks for listening, and give us a follow.
Drop a like.
Drop a like, comment. I want to know about your input on the Brittany Griner situation and some of her input and the things we talked about, as well as your favorite Chiefs undrafted free agent that maybe we did not discuss today. If you have one in mind, please drop that name in our link down, or not link, but in our comments down below, and let us know who we need to be paying more attention to in your mind. So, otherwise, you guys, thanks for following along, and I will see you all on the next one.
See you guys. This is JG. We are out.
See you guys.